Hello, Level 1 evening students. I hope you're well. We're going to continue with our online lesson, and this week we're talking about the topic of change. So it's from Unit 8 in your books on page 105. What different kinds of change do the photos illustrate? Use ideas from the box. So we've got career change, climate change, image change, political change. So I think the first picture would be climate change. This would be somebody changing their looks, so that's an image change. Looks like a demonstration there, so that's political change. And this would be a change in job, so career change. Underline the words and phrases in the box which go with the verb change. So we're looking at the verb change. So we can say change an arrangement. Yep, you can change an arrangement. You can change the time of the arrangement from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Change direction when you're traveling or in your life, change direction. Change places. Change places with somebody, change the situation you're in. Change talking, those two words don't go together, so that's not possible. Change time. We don't normally say that, change time. Change the subject, yeah, when you're talking with somebody, having a conversation, you can say, let's change the subject and talk about something different. So in exercise 2, tell me which of the words here go with the verb change. You can email me the answers to that. Exercise 3, listen to Stig and Carol talking about when they changed some of the things in exercise 2. What did they change? Listen again and answer the questions. So you've got 4 answers here that you can email me, but you will need to listen to the attached recording, track 21. See the email for that. Okay. In exercise 4, think about when you changed one of the things in exercise 2 and tell me about it. Have you just choose one of these things? It could be about your, I don't know, maybe you've changed your name. Maybe you've changed your hairstyle recently. Tell me about it. Give me a bit more information and tell me how it changed. Okay, so you just choose 1 or 2 of those things and tell me about them. Okay, so that's all from page 105. Now on page 106, whoops, page 106, let me just click off that. Page 106 is a reading. It's a reading about the forbidden apple. Apple, the big apple, is another way of saying New York. So read the text and answer the questions in exercise 1 and 2. So there's a text here about New York. Read that and email me the answers to exercise 1 and 2. As you read, there might be some vocabulary. You may want to underline the words that you don't understand, but particularly, I think you should make sure you understand these words here in exercise 3. If you don't, you can look them up in a dictionary because they're quite important words. All these words appear in the text. Okay. Oops. Now, if we go on to the grammar, the second conditional. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Oops. All right, let me see that. There we go. Right, second conditional. So read the active grammar box and choose the correct underlined words. Let's do this together. We use the second conditional to describe an imaginary situation, not a real situation, therefore imaginary situations in the present or future and its results. For example, if more cities had these laws, America would be a better place to live. So these are just imaginary things that you're just imagining in your head. In the if clause, we use this is the if clause. If more cities had these laws, that's the if part of the sentence. We use the, well, in this example, had, so that's the past simple. In the result clause, that's the second part, we use would. We can see that here. Would is used because the situation is imaginary. It's not because it's in the past, it's because it's imaginary. So that's the correct thing to underline. Another example, if people smoked, so we use the past simple there, we would then use the verb in the infinitive. We would go home smelling of cigarettes. Another example of the second conditional. Again, this is imaginary. If I had, so use the verb in the past, if I had £1 million, I would buy a big house. It is possible to use a modal verb such as could or might instead of would. Okay, so we can replace the would with could or might if you are certain or not sure of the result. If you're not sure is the right answer there. So if it's maybe, we can say could. If I won £1 million, I would, if you're sure, if you're more sure, but if you're not so sure, you can say, if I won £1 million, I might buy a new house. Similar meaning to would, but it's not for when you're not sure. So that's the second conditional for imaginary things. In a real or possible situation, real possible situations, we use the first conditional. That might be, if it rains tomorrow, I will stay at home. So that's not imaginary, that's a real possibility because it may really rain. In an imaginary situation, we use a second conditional. If I had £1 million, I would buy a very big house. So the first conditional uses the present simple plus will. If it rains tomorrow, I will stay at home. The second conditional uses the past simple plus the would. There's more information on the second conditional on page 117. Okay, now let's have a look then. Once you've read that, you don't need to email me anything about that, but email me the answers to exercise 5. Make second conditional sentences using the verbs in brackets. So second conditional, remember these are hypothetical, not real. If you, now the verb to be, put it in the past. If you were a New York police officer, would you arrest someone for feeding birds. It's a question, so would you arrest? So if you write those and email me them. Let's talk about exercise 6 together. Are the situations below real or possible situations? If they're real, we use the first conditional. If it rains tomorrow, I will stay at home. Real, possible, real or possible. Or are the situations imaginary? So it's either real, possible, or imaginary. So lie to a police officer. That's not a real situation for me. I'll tell you from my perspective. For me, I'm just imagining in my head. So for this sentence, I would use the second conditional. Second conditional, I would lie to a police officer if I had a very big problem and I needed to. I can't think of a situation, but that is imaginary, so I'm using the second conditional. Miss my English class. Again, I wouldn't, I'm not about to miss my English class, so I would, so for me it's imaginary. I would miss my English class if I were very, very sick. So again, that's second conditional for me. Live in another country. I would live in another country if I found a really good job. Again, that's second conditional. Go away next weekend. Again, this is definitely imaginary because we're in the middle of the coronavirus. I'm going to use the second conditional because I'm definitely not going to go away next weekend, but I would go away next weekend if we didn't have the coronavirus. Maybe if it were a normal time and we didn't have the coronavirus, I might be thinking of it as a real possibility, and therefore I could say, I will go away next weekend if I'm not busy. So have a look at those. Think of, there's no right or wrong answer. It really depends on what the situation is. Sometimes the situation might be real, in which case use the first conditional with will. If it rains tomorrow, I will stay at home. If it's imaginary, just in your head, and you're imagining, use the second conditional. I would buy a house if I had £1 million. I would buy a very big house if I had £1 million. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Email me your answers. Good luck with that. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.